Welcome agents, I've recently returned from the UK's biggest gaming event, Insomnia 63, where I got a chance to check out some awesome gaming things like VR, where I was using some lightsabers. It was really cool for the first time. But more importantly, I came across a Division 2 booth where you could play a short demo on the Xbox One X. Now, I wasn't prepared for this at all. I didn't know there was going to be a booth. So I'm recording this now while the thought of playing the game is still kind of fresh in my memory. And I've decided to list and talk about a couple of things which really stand out for me with the Division 2 compared to the Division 1. So if you enjoyed this video and are slightly jealous, please hit the like button below, leave a comment if you have any questions or comments, and let's get into the video. Okay agents, so I really didn't get that long to play the game, but as I said before, I have a couple of things that really stood out to me which I want to talk about. Let's start off with the most noticeable thing for me, which was the movement. Not just how your character moved, but how the game responded depending on your movement or lack of. So, I'll set the scene for you. I was playing with 3 other people in a squad, and these were people I met in the booth. And our first encounter was a small group of red bar NPCs, maybe 4 or 5 of them. And this was about 1 minute into the demo after I decided to run around and test stuff out a little bit. Now, the first thing I did was move into cover immediately, but 2 of my squad mates didn't and tried to face tank these NPCs. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, this isn't the Division, and I was so right. They both got downed, and I had to make cover-to-cover movements to revive them. Throughout the whole 10 minutes that I got to play, it felt that if I was not in cover, I would be punished. And I'm not sure if there's an NPC damage multiplier that is increased when you're out of cover, but it certainly feels that way. I stayed in cover almost the entire demo during combat, making cover-to-cover movements, and I never got down once, unlike the rest of my team. And talking about cover-to-cover movements, it does feel just as good as the Division, which is exactly what I expected. It's fast, responsive, and it's easy to execute. With that said, sometimes it felt as though you didn't actually need it. Unlike the Division, it didn't feel like the NPCs had a aimbot. Hooray, I know. I bet you're all really happy about that. In fact, at one point, I broke cover to save a squad mate with at least 2 or 3 NPCs fairly close by, and not one of them registered a bullet on me. I'm not sure if this is intentional, but it feels like the aim of NPCs is a lot more realistic than the Division, and because of that, a lot more punishing. And it felt like there was a good balance. I'm really happy if that is the case, if they are moving away from, less damage but hitting more bullets to a more realistic approach. It's certainly the right direction for me. Now, I didn't have long to test the character movements compared to the Division, but I can remember how I felt. To me, the movements of your character felt a lot slower, but more refined. It's hard to explain, but it felt more polished compared to the movement of your character within the Division. The only noticeable thing that I didn't like was the running. I'm not sure what Ubisoft were attempting here, but the animation feels wrong, slow, and it does feel fairly clunky as well. The running animation within the Division is just fine, and I think they need to bring that back into the Division 2. Aside from that, the chicken dance doesn't seem possible really. I tried it out straight away and your player simply cannot turn quick enough to allow this to happen. With that said, if you are punished within PvP for being out of cover, most people won't be trying to chicken dance anyway. Moving on, and the second thing that I really remember is how different it felt to the Division, but also how familiar it also felt. In general, the Division 2 plays exactly like the Division 1 does, with all the buttons in the right places, the emote wheel, the concussion grenades, and so on. The weapon that I had was a primary sniper, as I had the sharpshooter specialization. I had a vector for my secondary, and then I had a pistol. The primary sniper that I had was, I think, a SOCOM MK20 variant. The handling, aim, sway, recoil, and everything in between felt just like the MK20 from the Division, but it felt like I was using a sniper I'd never used before. And the same could be said for the Vector and the pistol, and that's how the entire demo felt really. I remember thinking how natural the Division 2 felt as a sequel to the Division, and I was really happy about that because some games try far too hard in their sequels to move away from the original game so players feel like they're experiencing something new. The Division 2 is not. I jumped straight in and knew exactly how to play, what the objective was and how I'd get there, but it felt new and not like the Division. I think the devs have found the right balance between familiarity and a new experience. And it's hard to put into words really, but you'll see come March 15th or March 12th if you pre-order with early access. So these are the two main things that I took away after playing the Division 2 demo. Like I said, I stumbled across the booth and queued up. When I sat down to play, the last thing I was thinking about was how I could make a video out of this. I was like a little kid at Christmas and just wanted to enjoy the limited time I had. You'd think that after covering the Division for the last 3 years on YouTube that my brain would automatically think about the best way to make some content, but I'm a real gamer at heart and my Christmas had come early. All in all, I really enjoyed what I played and it felt like the first time I turned on the Division and played through the campaign. If you like the Division, you will love the Division 2. With all that said, thanks for your support. Until the next one, Epic out.